All right, let's hustle in there at the end. But we built this little function that, again, it just does two things. It goes and checks to see what are the updated categories by looking at the current list, seeing if what we just checked already exists, filtering out any that do exist, or adding to that list, and then updating our state variable. All right, so then now that that's updated on change, so I built this as a function. I built it out separately to see you can do this. You can have functions that aren't being exported, and you can have that separately if you don't want to write it in here. So then when we actually do the on change, we can call that handle checkbox change. And so whenever there's a change on the checkbox, then it's going to call that function. And these are being built, by the way, one by one. So each checkbox will get its own handle checkbox change that will pass in which target it is and so on and so forth. And so, let's see, what do we need to do? Let's make sure I save that. Okay, then our errors go away, so we're good. Okay, so we've got this set up, but now if I go back to my app and try clicking on anything, it's still not doing anything. Well, yeah, I have the list here updated of which categories were selected, but where's that information changing, or where does it come from? Again, what I want to see happen is when I check this, I need to update this component, right? It's not updating this. I need to update the list of projects. And so I need to somehow get the information about what's been checked to my list of projects, which can go make the call to the server. And so that's what we need to do. So the question is, how do I get the information for the selected categories up to the project list? So it can extend what it's asking for in this call to also grab information about which project type is it. And so how do we do that? Well, we've talked about this a little bit, but this will be a good time for a recap. This data exists here, right? The selected category exists here. Its scope is between this brace and that brace. A project list can't see it. Now, we talked about this idea of floating information from one thing to another, but category filter and project list, what is their relationship? Is there a parent-child relationship? Is category filter part of project list? And the answer is no. They're siblings. They're at the same level. And so what that means is, can siblings see data one from another? No. So what's the parent in this case of these siblings? And the answer is the parent is the app TSX in this case, right? And so if we take instead, and this is one of the things that's really cool again, if we take and say, well, instead of declaring in the category filter itself the selected categories, what if I grab this and take it out and then put it into this level here? Now, if app is the parent, then we can see, and by the way, I need to do my import here. If app is the parent, then now both category filter and project list can see potentially that information. They can't see it yet, which is what it's saying here, that it's assigned but never used yet. And that's because now it doesn't belong. Now well, let's go back to category filter. It's the same issue here. It doesn't recognize it here anymore either. So it's at the level that can be seen by both of them, but I need to get it down into those different components. And so now hopefully this starts ringing some bells. We've done this before. So I can make it really easy by, in my category filter, in my project list, I can make it super easy by just saying, well, go in project list, and I'm going to create a parameter here called selected categories. And I'm going to set that equal to, in curly braces, our select categories from here. So I'm just making up a name here, and the value that I'm giving it is the information that was already in this variable. So if I save that, it's giving me an issue. Oh, and I know what's going on there. We'll fix that in a second. But before we do, I want to give the category filter. So the project list is going to need the list of selected categories. I need to give the category filter the ability to set the selected categories. And so I can create a method here. Now I could just call it set selected categories, but I'm going to pass a function called on checkbox change. So on checkbox change, and I'm going to pass it in the function set selected categories. All right, so I've floated, or I've elevated this. We call it lift up. We've lifted this up to this level of the app, and now app is the parent, category filter and project list are child elements. And so I'm taking and handing them what they need, which I'm going to need. Why I'm getting errors is because I have to have a way to receive them on the other side. But I'm passing the selected categories to the project list in a variable called selected categories. I'm passing the set selected categories function to the category filter in a variable, a const called on checkbox change. Now again, I could just call this set selected categories if I wanted to, but I'm trying to prove to you that we can call it something different. Whoa. So I'll call it on checkbox change. Okay, let's see how we do it on the other side then. How do we prepare to receive these things on the other side? Well, if we go to the project list side, then as we declare it, currently we've said we're not going to receive anything, but that's changed. Now we are going to receive something. So I'm going to tell it we're going to receive, and I'll just use the same name, even though, and this is such an important little thing, but I think it goes, I think students get confused with it. I'm naming this selected categories, but it knows nothing about selected categories on the other side. It just knows it's going to get an array of strings. I'm calling it, like there are other people named Spencer in this world, but that doesn't mean we're the same person. The scope is different, so this name is seen here, but that's different than the other side. But I'm just going to call it selected categories because then it will work with our existing code. Or I guess, well, we don't have selected categories on this side, but anyway, point is, I can call this selected categories. I can call it something else. It doesn't matter. It's the information inside that's important. Okay, so what type of information is this? Well, selected categories is a string array. That's the type of information we're receiving. And now I save that, and if I go back up to the app TSX, that error's gone away now because there's a way to receive that data on the other side. Likewise, for the category filter, I said I was receiving nothing, but I actually do want to receive it. I want to receive, what did I call it? Not that it matters. On checkbox change, but I'll use the same name here. We just got done talking about this. So on checkbox change is what I'll use. And what type of information is that? So in brackets, I'll say on checkbox change is categories string array that doesn't I'm trying to hurry, that doesn't it returns void. Okay, so that's the result of it. If I save this, all right, we'll talk through that statement in the next video since we're running out of time. Spencer out.